Have you ever wondered what it's like to uproot your life for family? In my last video, Ebere shared the story of her relocation for economic reasons. In today's video, follow along as we explore her joys and the challenges of relocating to be closer to the ones she holds dear. Let's talk about your next big move.
So the next move was to Sweden, purposely to join family. And, it was a bit of a tough one, tougher than the one to buy. And the reason was because I wasn't moving to work immediately, so there was
no job waiting.
There was no job waiting for me, so there were uncertainties about the move. But I was at least one thing sure I was sure about was that I was moving to family. But as for moving into a job, and then of course you're moving to a place where you need to learn a new language.
Yeah.
I didn't have to learn Arabic because I was teaching English. My job was to stop them from speaking Arabic and to speak English. But
that's in the UAE.
In the UAE when I moved to Abu Dhabi. But here I was moving to Sweden, where I need to learn a new language. And
Swedish.
It was it was kind of tough, I would say. Leaving a secure job where and moving to no job and having to learn a new language, a brand new language, able to fit into that society, communicate. You need to learn a new language. So the apprehension about that. And the age also. I moved to Abu Dhabi when I was younger. So I had added a few more years. And then the weather. Oh, the weather. I moved from 45
degrees
to maybe minus 23 the first winter in Sweden. It was so cold. For me, I remember in those days when I would say around December, January time within the UAE, and I would say it's cold. My husband would look at the temperature and say, "What do you mean it's 23? It's 23 degrees, and we don't get our summers don't get up to that. What do you mean it's cold?"
And then you moved to minus
23 because the year I moved, the winter was severe.
Harsh.
It was very harsh. So that was a very huge challenge.
So the language, the weather,
and
I want to say something about the language. You did well for yourself. Well done. I should say well done for that.
Thank you. Tak.
That's almost the only thing I can say in Swedish. Tak. Okay, I also know hey.
Yeah.
Hey.
Then the other changes like the job.
Yeah, having to
search for a job.
Joining family is more than just a change of address. It's a journey of love, connection, and new beginnings. A journey that also has economic implications.
When I moved, of course, English is a second language in Sweden. And because I already teach English, I had to go to schools and to offer my services to say I teach English. And then I started teaching 2 hours a week in school.
From a full-time job in
university
in the UAE.
And, teaching 2 hours a week, sometimes 3 hours a week. I started teaching for the 1 hour or 2 hours a week was an adult high school. But because I left Abu Dhabi now as a university teacher, I began to throw my CVs everywhere. And one time, I after 1 or 2 years, I was still teaching the part-time different places. And then one time, I got an opening to begin to supervise projects for students. And that's one thing. And then after the supervision, I started teaching as a standing lecturer for someone. And from there, I got 6 months teaching for 6 months, teaching 1 year contract,
Oh. Oh.
1 year contract. Then got contacts in different universities to teach for summer jobs. And then where I was teaching 1 or 2 hours, after about 6 months, okay, you can teach for 25%. Then it's incremental. So that's how it was. And from 25%, we got 40% job, from 40%, 60%. Then you keep going until you get to 100%. And there was something also about the UAE. When I eventually found the job in Sweden, I learned you had to pay 33% of your earning as tax at the end of the month. After the 33% tax
about this tax, right?
has been taken away. I have maybe 1/100 of what I would have earned, 1% of what I would have earned
when you were in the UAE. What was it like in the UAE?
There's no tax.
Oh. That was a huge
complained a lot. So I used to complain when we go to buy stuff and I have 12.5% tax in some of the things, 25% tax in some of the things. I said, what do you mean? So it was a little tough, but I laid low. I told myself, this is what life is now. This is what I'm earning now. This is what the family economy is. We need to work around it. And
so there was some adjustment, like lower.
Yes,
lowering
of course I did.
Your spending.
Yes, I did a lot of that. I had to learn to adjust to the culture and how the society is, which is completely, even when I went to the UAE, who could talk loud, people could laugh loud, but
that is like you did in Nigeria.
like I did in Nigeria. We were serious and all of that, but things are very quiet, very, very quiet. A Swede wouldn't talk if there's no need to say anything. Wouldn't just be part of that conversation. It would be a reason to say something, to say it. It's odd for you to be that boisterous. Not that I'm painting everybody with one brush, but that is generally what it is. So you have to learn that the way they do things, and they do it very structured way of doing things. One of the first things I learned very quickly was that when people sit down and they stand up and they're about to go, they must push in back their chairs. And I used to wonder, do they have to do this? So it has to go back. Everything has to be exactly the way it was. It has to be left the way it was. And when you go for an event or whatever, everybody has to help to clean up. You can't say, I'm sitting there, these are the people that should do. Very important to manage yourself within the expectations and the values of the society that you have found yourself. If you're not able to do that, you will always feel like you're a stranger. And that's why you will look odd to people. Perseverance, resistance, and readjusting your mind that this is the society where I am. How do I go coming into work life, social life, church life, everything. So it's all like a change of mindset. You have to change your mindset to know that I am in a new society now. I need to do whatever I need to do in that place to be able to be settled.
If I look at the two experiences you've shared, there was the persistence thing, there was the fast learning thing, quickly learning what the differences are, what the new things are in that culture that you needed to adjust to. So learning them and adjusting to them. There was also that willingness, like in the second move, there was the willingness to adjust financially, that things are not the way they used to be. I'm not earning as much as I earned, so I'm going to adjust my life to suit what I earn now. Not continuing the like just ranting or
being
groaning
miserable
or feeling miserable, but
or blaming
Exactly.
someone,
or even regretting, saying, if I knew, I would not have moved. But you adjusted your mind, your expectations, your spending, and the expectations of people around you.
Yeah.
You were also willing to change, like your dress coach.
Of course.
Because you were modest for us when you went away from us in Nigeria. You dressed modestly, but when you got there and you realized that this could cause distraction, you were willing to change. So that's flexibility. And you've also talked about relationship, like the way to speak. You learn how to speak. So if people are not as loud, don't feel they are not energetic, don't start criticizing, but you adjust to it and lower your own volume.
Yes.
And quite the other thing you said about adjusting the seat when you move. So if you didn't, you just look weird, and you wonder why.
You have to look at the etiquette around you, and and if you go to somewhere and everybody's cleaning up, you have to.
That's learning how things work. That's culture. I think that would be helpful to anyone. Learn how people speak, how people work.
Yes.
How people dress.
How people dress, how people relate. I didn't talk about the dressing one. In Sweden we dress casually.
Okay.
Yeah, so
in Nigeria we dress up.
And in UAE we dress up. 1 or 2 times I wore trouser suits to work, and everybody was asking me,
are you going for a wedding?
Are you saluting first? That means, are you going to a party after work?
So you knew how to do your t-shirt and on jeans.
And then if you put on makeup, everybody's asking you, why do you have makeup? Simple things like that. People will be staring at it. Like, even my students will come up to me and say, Ebere, where are you going? Do you have a dinner date? Do you have a lunch date? I said, why? You have makeup. So after some time, all those my shoes were hanging out the wardrobe, because you looked completely different if you dressed up that way. Yeah, so you need to adjust, look around you, be sensitive to what people care about and what people do.
Thank you.
Your one might still be moved to another place you don't know.
Oh, are you planning to go again?
You don't
Which
know.
of the weathers? Hot, cold?
In between, maybe.
Okay, we'll talk about that. If you liked this, why don't you share with some other persons? And click like too. If you have any comments about things you've learned when you've moved, adjustments you've made when you've moved, drop them in the comment section. And thank you again for being here today.
And please subscribe. There are so many videos that will actually give you good tips about different aspects of life. So if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do.
Thank you for that. Yeah, and I'll see you again in my next video, and most likely you'll see Ebere again one of these days. Until then,
Hello.
that's Swedish.
Bye.
Bye.